Education meeting. We've already had our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance as we went into our closed session. Parents, we welcome you. This is your boardroom, so as your child is called up, please feel free to come behind us and take pictures. But at this time, I want to welcome Dr. Ben Williams as our interim superintendent and give him the opportunity to have a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. I'll just take a couple of seconds. First of all, I want to greet everyone here tonight. Thank you for being here. We look forward to our recognitions that we have. Made some comments last night, but I just wanted to reiterate that I'm excited for the opportunity to be able to serve and lead in this capacity here in Johnston County Public Schools. I've been in Johnston County Public Schools for 20 years. It's a very special place to me, and I look forward to being able to continue working together and unifying with our schools and our parents and our staffs and communities to continue moving towards excellence like we always have. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, sir.
Before we begin, I shared this to our Board of Education last night, and I feel fitting to share this to the public tonight. The title is Plow. We must pull in the same direction. Acronym for Plow, P, people. We owe it to our staff, students, and parents. L, leadership. We must let the leaders lead, and we provide the support to our leaders. O, opportunity. Now is the time for us to eliminate any and all issues. W, we win, which is W-I-N. Put all of our emotions aside and do what's right for our students. I feel that the bus is going in the wrong direction, and it is time for us to change course. We, as a board, must focus on the following items at this time, in no particular order: budget, financial situation, underperforming schools, superintendent search, and employee safety. In order for the public to see that we can do the job they put us in office to do, we must start acting like it. This is directed at all of us. Secondly, I will be in constant communication with all of you as it pertains to all decisions that need to be made. However, please give me the courtesy of being the voice as chairman to relay our message to the proper individuals. Most of you elected me as chairman, and I hope to gain the confidence of the others. I am simply asking for your help in pulling the plow in the same direction for the sake of our school system. Thrives, another acronym for this. T, teamwork. One team with one goal. H, hard work. No one will outwork us if we are in unison. R, relentless determination. We will not stop until we have won, and we will have unwavering conviction. I, integrity. We will say what we mean, we will do what we say. V, visionary. We will always think big for Johnston County Public Schools. E, entrepreneurial. We will always act like owners of the system. S, success, is our ultimate goal for Johnston County Public Schools. Finally, there is a way out of the current turmoil that we are facing. We must do the following: approve a wellness audit, focus on the well-being of any and all employees regarding harassment or any other issue that cannot and will not be tolerated in the workplace. Welcome Dr. Ed Kroom and his knowledge as a non-compensated financial consultant on assisting us for our short-term financial situation, as well as working on a long-term, multi-year solution to our budget situation. More importantly, we must show the public that we can work together. At this time, I would like to thank the Finance Committee, which consists of Ms. Teresa Grant, Mr. Ronald Johnston, and Mike Wooten, who was recently added for an emergency meeting on Friday, and that carried over through the weekend with the county commissioner as well as the county manager. I'd like to thank the Policy Committee, which consists of Vice Chair Dr. Peggy Smith, Ms. Tracy Zukowski, and Ms. Terry Sessoms for all the hard work that they do on a monthly basis to make sure that our policies are up to date. As you can see, we are going to pull the plow in the same direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. I had a couple things I wanted to say, but I'm going to go a little off script because I see some faces in the crowd that are very familiar. I do want to take notice and let you know we have taken notice that we see quite a bit of principals here with us today, and we are certainly appreciative of you being in attendance. Without your leadership, we couldn't do this. And I know some of you have a wide array of feelings, maybe feelings of disappointment, maybe wanting some stability. And trust me when I say you're going to get that. It reminds me of a song, back in the 80s, for those of you old enough to remember. There's a lyric that says, "Superman, where are you now when everything has gone wrong somehow?" Well, we've had some superheroes step up. We've had some people come in. And even though it seems like the world is on fire, we are on the same page. We are pushing in the same direction. Dr. Ben Williams, welcome. And I know a lot of you are probably concerned. What is Ronald going to do to this guy? And I'm here to say, Dr. Williams has my full support. I'm in his corner, and we will be pushing in the same direction. To all my supporters, I have a message. There's a time to stand tall, but there's also a time to stand together. And your Board of Education will stand together. We will do what's right, and we will focus on three things. The first being mutuality. And mutuality means what's good for one is good for all. And when I say that, I don't mean what's good for Ronald Johnston. I don't mean what's good for Todd Sutton. I mean what's good for that elementary school kid walking in your building. What's good for that high school student getting in their car driving to your school, and that middle school student suiting up for an athletic event. That's where the mutuality starts. That is what we will do. What's good for them is good for us. Intolerance of ineffective humanity, whether it's central office or a kindergarten classroom, this Board of Education will not tolerate ineffective humanity towards others. And last but certainly not least, the most basic trait, civil aspiration. Everyone on this Board of Education will aspire to do the right thing. How we got here is how we got here. We were all pushing in different directions. Now we're pulling together. This is the time, this is the place, and we look to the future. And we will have your back. I will support the Board of Education. We will push in the same direction. You have my word. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind comments, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments from the board at this time? If not, we'll go ahead and ask for approval of the December 10th, 2019 regular session minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mike Wooten, second by Mr. Ronald Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Approval of the January 6th, 2020 special session minutes. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Smith, second by Mr. Ronald Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. At this time, this is the most important piece of our board meeting, and it's the special recognitions of the students that are sitting out here. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dolores Gill.
Good afternoon, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Dr. Peggy Smith, members of the board. It is a pleasure to
be with you this afternoon for, again, our favorite part of our entire board meeting, and that is spending time recognizing the children. And we do have their principals here in attendance today who work so very hard with them, and we are so appreciative of their attendance today. We have been promoting character education for quite some time as a priority in Johnston County Public Schools. And this year we are also merging both our character education ongoing initiatives with how character education and our district's Portrait of a Graduate can work together. The Portrait of a Graduate trait for the month of January is a balanced, self-directed learner. And the definition of that is maintaining a healthy, active lifestyle and making quality decisions based on personal goals. It also means an understanding, appreciation, and modeling of a lifelong love of learning. I'd like to begin by certainly reminding our parents and special guests who are here and principals that if you'd like to come behind our board in your boardroom to take photos of your students today, we are delighted for you to do that. And we are going to begin today with our very first recognition from Selma Elementary, Luke McLam. And I'd like to ask Luke to come and stand here beside me, right here. We're going to let you look that way. I'm going to read some great things about you in just a minute. Mr. Luke McLam is in 4th grade at Selma Elementary School. We are beyond fortunate at Selma Elementary to have Luke McLam in our building. Luke exemplifies the qualities of leadership and responsibility. He's a member of our Student Leadership Council and is always respectful, on task, and encouraging to his fellow members. Luke is a leader in our Battle of the Books team and enjoys setting a good example for his team members. When he is in a group that has a disagreement, he takes the lead in problem solving and coming up with compromises with respect and kindness. Luke is energetic and full of energy. He helps motivate his peers to do the right thing, is supportive, encouraging, and fun. We know that he will do great things in the future with endless opportunities available to him. We are thankful to Mr. and Mrs. McLam for sharing their very well-rounded, balanced, and self-directed learner with us, and we're very proud to have him as a Yellow Jacket at Selma Elementary, and we are proud to honor you also, Luke McLam, here in Johnston County Public Schools. Congratulations. Next, I would like to recognize from Selma Middle School in the 8th grade, Amari Taylor. Amari Taylor encompasses the qualities of a self-directed learner by creating personal goals and striving to meet them. She takes the necessary steps to achieve her goals and will seek clarification or assistance if she needs it. When she came to Selma Middle, it was evident that she had a great talent for literature, nurtured by her own love of reading, and was quickly placed in an academically rigorous course. The same proved true for her mathematics and all the subjects she strives for. In the classroom, she is patient, seeks clarification, and is incredibly expressive, whether through her artistic abilities or her eloquent speaking. She appreciates all learning opportunities and is academically very motivated. She constantly asks to be challenged, even if she is challenged to a point beyond her capabilities. Doesn't mind failure, but sees it as an opportunity to try again and grow. She's always seeking to understand and improve. Selma Middle is very proud of you, and we here in Johnston County Public Schools are as well. Congratulations. Next, we'd like to honor Betsby Sierra. Did I say that right? Thank you. Betsby is in the 8th grade at Smithfield Middle and is a well-balanced student who is a member of both the National Junior Honor Society and AVID. Betsby is always looking to be her best and willing to step in to assist other students and staff. She's thoughtful, empathetic, and conscientious. She's consistently on the principal's list every quarter last year and continued this tradition this year. In addition to her classwork, she shows initiative and creativity. She's developed a questionnaire recently and interviewed a number of her teachers at our school to determine how they experienced the classroom environment. She didn't do this for an assignment or to earn a grade, but to satisfy her own curiosity and ways to build skills. It's a pleasure to work with Betsby and to watch her grow academically and socially. She effortlessly displays what it means to be a balanced and self-directed learner, and she is a model student. We're proud of her at Selma Middle, and even more so here, I said Selma, Smithfield Middle, and even more proud of you in Johnston County Public Schools. Congratulations. Next, we're very excited to have Michelle Chan. Did I say that correctly? Okay. And she is in the 10th grade at Smithfield Selma High School. Michelle was chosen for this trait because she effortlessly balances activities at school with sports and work. As a student in the IB program, Michelle is taking all honors and AP courses and excelling in them. In addition to maintaining her schoolwork, she's also a tri-sport athlete. In the fall, she's a member of the golf team. In the winter, she's a part of the varsity swim team. And she works hard and listens, and she's always the first person to encourage others. And finally, in the spring, Michelle is a part of the tennis team. While balancing being an active member in these sports, she was also elected the president of the new DECA chapter at Triple S. Michelle has led the club through competitions, volunteered at community outreach events, and fundraised to get the club established. She has charisma, self-direction, and an ability to balance and give her all to many activities at the school. She was a clear choice for this recognition in Triple S. They're proud of her, and so are we in Johnston County Public Schools. Congratulations. Our next recognition is Dana Soriano Gomez. Did I say your name right? Wonderful. And Dana is in 5th grade at South Smithfield Elementary. South Smithfield Elementary has nominated her because she does not only not ever give up, but she also goes above and beyond what is expected of her. She's very self-motivated and determined to complete her work before it's due. Dana is extremely helpful, and daily she volunteers to help in any way she can. She will go out of her way to help her peers and teachers. She's exceptionally dependable when looking for a role model who sets examples and follows the rules. She exhibits a very healthy and active lifestyle. She's involved in swimming lessons and seizes every opportunity to practice, and even becomes disappointed when the practice is canceled. Dana perfectly represents what it means to be balanced and self-directed. South Smithfield Elementary is so proud of you. They say you are a truly dynamic dolphin, and we are proud of you too here in Johnston County Public Schools. Congratulations. I'm going to be proud of myself if I get your names right. Good, good, good. Adziri Galindo Aguilar. Did I get it close? I am so glad. And she is in 5th grade at Wilson's Mills Elementary. Not at Wilson's Mills, West Smithfield. Sorry about that. We are happy to nominate this young lady for this recognition. She gives 110% in everything she does, inside and outside of the classroom. She is enthusiastic and a self-motivated learner who gives her best every day. She has a willingness to ask for help when needed, and she provides it to her classmates when they need it. This demonstrates her collaborative learning spirit. She's a role model to those around her and an inspiration. She is also a young lady who's self-directed. She consistently engages in the learning process. She has high levels of determination and perseverance and does a great job initiating her own learning, finding out what she needs to do to learn and grow. She's very good at setting goals and using the various resources in the classroom to maintain her learning by working with her peers and teachers. Adziri is such an asset to West Smithfield Elementary, and we're so very, very proud of her. And we are too here in Johnston County Public Schools. Congratulations. And last but not least, we have in 5th grade at Wilson's Mills Elementary, we have Alexia Marquez. Is it Marquez? Marquez. All right, I almost got through it today and doing it right. Wilson's Mills Elementary nominates Alexia for recognition as a balanced, self-directed learner. Alexia describes a self-directed learner as taking ownership, doing her own work, and recognizing the value of learning new things. Alexia sets clear, rigorous, and attainable goals for her learning. She is eager to demonstrate her knowledge of topics in class, but does so in a way that doesn't alienate or intimidate others. She's always looking to improve her performance and open to feedback. Alexia also participates in Battle of the Books. She creates balance in her life by being a mentor and role model to young students at school and at home. She's a member of our Mustang Mentors program, allowing her to be involved in service projects designed for our school to help the community. Alexia describes helping others, particularly young children, as the right thing to do. Alexia aspires to be a doctor when she grows up and credits her family as her inspiration for achieving her goals. Wilson's Mills is proud of you, and we are too here in Johnston County. Very good. Congratulations. At this time, we're going to have all of our recognees to come and shake the hands of our board members.
Next time we have disagreements, we might have to call you up to the house, all right? What a record. Congratulations.
You ever sleep? I do sleep. Good. Not very much. I was gonna
I'm
say.
exhausted just listening to all you do. Thank you for all you do. Congratulations. Congratulations. Keep being a good role model. Congratulations. Good job.
Appreciate your hard work.
Mr. Petrano, thank you.
Mr. Vetrana, before you come up, I missed one item on our agenda was discussion and adjustment to the agenda.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to get to the character education as quick as I could. At this time, I'll start with Mr. Johnston. Any adjustments?
No, sir, no adjustments.
Ms. Sessoms?
No, sir.
No, sir.
None, sir.
Other than this adjustment, no.
All right, thank you. All right, no further adjustments. The agenda will stand as it is. Mr. Vetrano?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My delight to stand before you today and recognize some outstanding employees. We have two this afternoon. Our classified employee of the month is Mr. Alex Gunler. I think Mr. Gunler may be. There he is. All right. Mr. Gunler serves as the head custodian at West Smithfield Elementary School. He was nominated by a coworker, Miss Angela Thomas, who's been there for many years. Ms. Thomas shared some wonderful things about you, sir, and I'm going to read a few to the board. Ms. Thomas shared that Mr. Alex truly strives daily to make West Smithfield Elementary a top-notch facility. He truly has a servant's heart, and I've seen him go above and beyond on many occasions. For example, we had a substitute call a few weeks ago to let us know she was going to be late due to a flat tire. Mr. Alex drove to downtown Smithfield and changed her tire. Now, an individual who works to recruit more and more substitute teachers, you probably did more to recruit substitute teachers than I could by going, because those kind acts, those messages spread. So thank you so much. Mr. Alex comes in very early in the morning to get his work done and to assist with whatever his team could not finish the evening before. He's a team player that takes pride in his job. Nothing seems too big nor too small for him to tackle. Mr. Gunler, we congratulate you for being our Johnston County Public Schools Classified Employee of the Month. And if you'll... Our Certified Employee of the Month is Miss Holly Heller. Miss Heller, if you'll come join me. I was telling Miss Heller just a moment ago that sometimes when I go out and meet our employees of the month, I talk with them about coming up to the podium with me, and sometimes I'll kid and say, would you mind singing or speaking? But she could actually do both of those things today. So Miss Heller is one of the music teachers Out at Four Oaks Elementary School, she was nominated by a fellow music teacher, Miss Lisa Bishop Allen. So that's quite an honor for your colleague to recognize you. Ms. Allen shared that Ms. Heller has single-handedly created the holiday spirit at Four Oaks Elementary School. This month, and this may be last month when she submitted this, she organized a third choir of 40 students that sang at the Four Oaks Christmas tree lighting ceremony, performed a musical called Jingle Bell Jukebox for parents on December 17th, and featured our third grade choir in the annual Johnston County Chorus Christmas show at the Clayton Center on December 14th.
Right.
And she says that the school and she appreciates everything that you do. And I just want to add this to the statement that I believe you have more than 23 years in education. And you were at Princeton Elementary where my children attended and taught them music and did a fantastic job. So thank you so much for what you do on behalf of the school system. Congratulations. And I'd invite both of you to greet our board at this time.
Part of the solution of the problem.
That's right. Congratulations. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you.
Appreciate your dedication.
Thank you so much, Rosie. Congratulations.
And Mr. Gunler, not finished yet, or Ms. Heller. We have a certificate, a keychain, and a gift card for both of you. So, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, we have two advisory appointments tonight. First, we'll start with Clayton High School with Ms. Tracy Zukowski.
Thank you. Clayton High School Principal Dr. Bennett Jones would like to reappoint members James Rogers and Tracy Daniels for 3 years each, term to end in June 2022.
All right, we'll let that stand as our motion. And the second one tonight is from Corinth Holders Elementary. Principal Dr. Chris Kennedy would like to appoint new member Clarissa Evans and Mandy Felizi for 3 years each, terms to end in June 2022. We'll let that stand as our second for our advisory council appointments.
What's
So
it?
moved. You need a motion?
I need all in favor? I'm sorry. Motion carries 7-0. We're going to, public comment is at 6 o'clock. We're going to continue, and I'm going to just go into Dr. Williams.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I ask that the board approve consent items 8A, 3A through 8A, 3M.
We entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
I make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Sessoms. Motion, second by Ms. Teresa Grant. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I got a couple questions for you before you vote on it.
Okay, go ahead.
On section L, auditing services for fiscal year in 2020. I see where Anderson Smith is doing our audit. Excuse me, I didn't mash my little button here. We normally put the audit company out for bid every 3 years or every 3 to 5 years. Can somebody tell me are we still doing that, or do you know, Dr. Williams?
No, sir. I'm not certain about that information, but I'll touch base with Ms. Vetrano and we'll find out.
And also, I concur with the wellness audit that the chairman mentioned at the start of the board meeting, I would like to recommend, this is not part of the vote, but recommend that the wellness audit be done every 3 years to make sure that we are doing the best practices in our audit process, not only what's brought to the board, but in the finance department. So I concur with that. And on M, I need clarification on the Microsoft contract renewal. Is that for all the computer technology across the system?
Ms. Gill, can you speak to that, please?
Yes, that is for district-wide, all of our, that is district-wide, Mr. Wooten, for everything we do with our Microsoft licensing. So that is
Okay.
the nuts and bolts of everything we do. And that is at the state of 15.
Okay, thank you. That's what
And Mr. Chair, do we need to make a motion? I know we're already in a motion right now, but a separate motion to make sure that this wellness audit is conducted.
If that's the pleasure of the board, we can go ahead and make that motion. Mr. Wooten, are you making that motion?
I am making that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to entertain a wellness audit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, I think I have this working now. I was just, on behalf of Dr. Williams, checking into the previous question about the audits. I checked with our finance officer. He said that those bids do happen there every 5 years, though.
How many, can you tell us how many years are we in that process for the current company?
I've already asked that question, and I'm waiting on a response.
Okay, no problem.
Just thinking ahead.
I was just making sure that we're still bidding out the audit process.
Correct, every 5 years, according to Mr. Stanley.
And to follow up on the bid process, I think Ms. Gill spoke to this, the bids for our service provider for technology is also bid, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And as we look at those bids for wellness audits, I don't want to lessen the quality of the audit, but we need to be as frugal as we possibly can, because as people have reached out to me, the community was very strong about wanting an audit. I believe that our employees do, but their concern is that the money would take away from their classrooms, and then as well as the budget concerns that we're facing right now.
And I think, as we mentioned last night, and that's a great point, Ms. Sessoms, is that we are saving some money with the addition, with previous interim superintendent's contract. So we do have some additional funds that we were going to utilize for our audit. So it would not be any additional funds needed, nor would it come from the classrooms. So,
Plus, with the wellness audit, I think you will probably find some savings during that audit that would pay for itself, so.
And I wanted to make sure that this is different than the audit that we had, a clean audit, I might add, that we had reported to us, was it in the October meeting? So this is a different approach to audit than the fiscal audit that we had in October.
that's correct. My understanding from what a wellness audit is, it consists of retired finance officers from across the state as well as accountants, and they look at line item by line item, and it gives us a better indication of what we are looking at and how our finances have been spent. So we got two different motions and seconds on the floor. We have a motion and a second regarding a wellness audit. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. The other motion and second was to approve consent items 8A through 8M. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. At this time, I would like to introduce the North Carolina School Board Association, Ms. Allison Schaefer and her team, as we discuss the superintendent search.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Superintendent, members of the public. We are glad to be here today. Looking forward to working with you all. I'm here to answer questions. As you know, we did a presentation earlier about our services. We are here, we work with school boards across the state to do superintendent search, as administration of the superintendent searches. The board is the decision maker about who the superintendent is, but we help with the documents and all that sort of thing. So if, I don't know exactly what you'd like us to present on tonight since we presented the other documents, but would you like us, we do need some approval of documents in order to get your superintendent search started. So I would glad to answer any questions or go over anything that you think would be helpful for the public to hear in this context as we.
I think we've heard at length the information you've had to offer, and we appreciate your patience, but
That's
I
fine.
think this is just all a formality to get the vote started, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's get the process going.
Unless anybody has any questions for Ms. Schaefer, you know, we have heard them in the December meeting as well as a special session meeting, and we appreciate your time for both of those meetings. So at this time, is there any questions?
We sent our recommendation to the chairman about which of the survey forms, so I'm assuming that that has already been communicated.
I have not received it yet. I was hoping to receive it tonight. So there are just several things we need approval of, and that would include the application deadline, which would be March 9, the advertisement that we went over the other night, to approve that with any changes, the advertising places, including the one place for a cost, the additions to the, or the selections in the application, and which of the surveys you want. Those are the things we need approval of tonight to get started, so.
Mr. Chairman, I had one question. Can you hear me now? I don't have to press a button. Okay, sorry. When the applications come in, will the board see all applications?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we collect them, and then we compile them, and we compile additional information. We do a background, an internet search of all candidates, and compile some other documents, get transcripts. Once we get them all compiled, we will release everything we have to the board.
Thank you.
And we do not do any screening. That's your job.
I appreciate that clarification.
Any further questions? And I do have the information that's sent back from the board members, and I can read this on record if you guys want to know what page 9 and 10, what the questions that we would like to have. So on page 9, we were given 4 to 6 items. Number 1 had 5 votes. Number 2 had 5 votes. Number 4 had 5 votes. Number 8 had 6 votes. Number 9 had 5. And number 10 had 6. Those were the top 6 on the page 9.
Okay. So those are questions you want to ask.
Right, right. And on page 10, we had 4 questions. Number 3 had 6 votes. Number 4 had 6 votes. Number 5 had 4. And number 6 had 6 votes.
Okay.
And then as far as our survey sample, that would be number 2, unanimous.
Okay. That would be the more nuanced, drill-down questions. Okay, and we'll get those up. And then the application deadline is okay, and the advertising we recommended, and the advertisement itself.
I think so.
And just to reiterate, all of the applications are confidential because these
By
superintendents.
law, they have to be kept confidential. Only the board members can see them, and the board's attorney if that's the appropriate person you want to have access to them. By law, that's who gets to see them. So it's really important that the board keep confidential who the applicants are. The surveys are designed for that information to come in and be presented to the board, and for you to develop a profile before you see the first application, so that as you consider the applications, you can consider the input of your community and your staff. And just to reiterate, there's a separate staff survey from the community survey. The questions are the same, but we try to get the answers separate so you can see the staff's concerns as distinguished from your community concerns. So all that will come to the board before you see any application, so you can consider that. as you look through the applications. But once the applications come in, the board gets that information and no one else.
And I just want to clarify the advertisement, because some of it is free, and then you obviously make some recommendations for other advertisement that has a fee associated with it. So I just want to get a clear understanding what we're going to do as far as the board moving forward for what we're advertising.
We recommend on the first page of the advertising, the information you received, that the only paid place you advertise is with the American Association of School Administrators for 60 days at a cost of $799. That's a pretty low-cost advertising budget. So that's really all that we recommend, but we do need approval of that as well.
All right, any other questions?
I just have a comment. First of all, thank you for coming back.
Happy to.
We, as you can tell, we have not taken this decision lightly. This is the third time that Allison has been here with us. But I want to point out that the community, our employees, have been very vocal. They have said they want a search. They want us to look outside of the school system. They want a national search. And I support that because I believe that our children deserve the best. Not that we don't have the best already here in Johnston County, but we owe it to our children to at least look. And so thank you for coming back. And the cost, I believe, is going to be defrayed because Dr. Williams was very magnanimous when he agreed to step into this interim superintendency, that he would take no pay increase. And so the difference between what Dr. Cosby was receiving and what Dr. Williams will be receiving will pay for the audit as well as this search. So thank you for being back with us.
Absolutely. So we do need board approval of all those items, however you want to.
Can I entertain a motion for us to approve the School Board Association to do our search for our superintendent?
So moved.
I was moved second.
Ms. Weckerser, can you say the board was unanimous on the motion? Do I have a second? Second. I think Mr. Johnson was second as well. Yeah. All right, so we got Mr. Johnson as second. So all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Allison.
Very much. And can you, does that improve all the items that we suggested to you, the application, the deadline, the advertisements, and the surveys, and the changes to the application?
Yes, ma'am. It includes the 60 days as far as the $799 included in that.
Okay, so all that's approved, and we'll move forward. Your advertisement will be up tomorrow. As I said, I'm going to national meetings this weekend and next month, and we will work on advertising your position. I do have one more item. Jim O'Rourke, who will be working with me, you met before. We have an online application process. Each of you is receiving a little green card that has access to our website that will contain all the confidential information that we receive. Please keep that very confidential, put it in your wallet or whatever. He's also handing out information about how you access that system. If you have any questions about how to access it, we will be glad to just call our office and we'll get you on it. But all of the information will be posted on the same day at the same time, to go to your question. And that's where it will be. It's critical you not share that with anyone and that you keep that very confidential. But if you have any questions at all, that's how we'll communicate. We'll send you an email. It'll either come from Jim or me, and we'll send you an email that says there's information posted. Please check your website. So we just want to give you that, since the next time we'll see you will be probably for the survey meeting where we report on surveys and close to the time the applications will be posted. There won't be anything there for a while. Don't try to get on there now because there's no confidential information posted, okay? It'll be a little quiet in the next month or two as we collect applications. It'll be mid-March before they're due. So we want to just say, if you call me and say, how many applications do we have? I'll say, don't ask me that question, because my experience is about half of them come in the last day, because these are busy people with busy schedules. And we'll worry for you, but we will work our hardest to get you a good applicant pool that you can make a good choice from, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your confidence in us. We look forward to working with you.
At this time, we're going to discuss an operating agreement, and Ms. Terry Sessoms was going to discuss this, but her voice, as you can tell tonight, is going in and out, and I believe she wants Miss Tracy Zukowski to go over that.
Thank you. The board was given an operational agreements document, and the point of this document is to help guide our board, pretty much. So the operational agreements are typically interpersonal behavior expectations and norms designed to promote positive communication and proactively establish parameters which facilitate the management of potential interpersonal conflict between and among superintendent of schools and members of the Board of Education. The overall goal of this document is to ensure mutual understanding of role behaviors, which create a professional environment of intellectually honest and harmony, and to support informative collective action to fulfill the mission of our school district. So I would say that this document is really important. So I'm not going to go into deep details with you. I'm going to highlight the points that are inside the document. We've defined ourselves as a management team, which will consist of all the school board members that are elected here today, as well as our interim superintendent. So henceforth, the word team represents all of us sitting at this horseshoe. We do recognize that sometimes conflict does happen between board members, but it can be managed with several considerations. Some of those are talking to that person directly about the conflict that you have, refraining from passive participation in any discussion or topic or subjects or acts of criticism inside a public or outside in the public, to praise and reinforce each other, lift each other up, and accentuate the positive and authentic manner that each one of us have. Disagree agreeably and maintain the focus that we should all have, which is our students and our staff and being successful within our school system. Provide constructive feedback. Never assume that any member on this board knows or understands the situation or believes what is being said. So in other words, ask questions and verify. We're asking that all electronic devices be turned off unless extenuating circumstances, and understand the roles of the team and refrain from micromanaging. So the superintendent has a role, and each board member, as one collective agent, has a role that we must uphold. And police each other in regards to agreeing upon these norms. Okay, so that's the outline of how we're going to work together and be professional and respect one another. We do, as a board, recognize that we are restricted to a collective action, meaning that we are one body, that the board doesn't act for personal motives or as an individual board member, and that we agree to make no promises to staff and refrain from politicizing personal issues or other operational issues. Issues are expected to be managed according to the norms that I stated prior. The team will share information that affects the district with each other in a timely manner. So we will all be aware of praises as well as concerns that our constituents and staff members have. So we're all on the same page. The superintendent, or in this case, Dr. Williams, will provide the board with a weekly digest and will inform any members of the board in between those weekly digests of what's going on in the district if something else comes up in a timely manner that we need to talk about. We'll have a calendar of school activities, which we already do that, so we know all the events that are happening within our community so that we can partake in those events. We agree and understand that information from closed session is protected by law, and it is not public knowledge. Communication received by individual board members from JCAE and other employee representative groups will be conveyed to the superintendent of the schools, and it will be shared with the BOE by the superintendent as soon as practical. Directing and supervising district administrators and other district staff is the sole responsibility of the superintendent of Johnston County Public Schools. Email communication, we will get clarification for understanding, and when we receive emails from staff and/or the public, there are two things that will happen. Internal communication, the BOE will route directly to the superintendent of schools. External communication, we will all have the same message. We will thank the sender for bringing it to our attention or for praising an employee, and then we will immediately pass it along to the superintendent of schools, and the superintendent of schools will pass it to the direct person. Okay? So I want to reiterate that. If there are concerns, we will all be on the same page, and all of our responses will be the same. Okay? When speaking with constituents, we will make sure that we understand that individually, we are one individual school board, but we make a collective decision. So you are welcome to talk to any of us. That's why you voted us in and elected us. That's what we're here for, to represent you. But individually, Tracy Zukowski can't make any promises. I have to come to my board, and we have to all be on the same page. All board members will also inform a superintendent of information, concerns, issues, problems, or condemnations received by staff and community, and superintendent will also share that information with the board. One note, we need to make a change on 13 and 14 and remove president and put chairperson. So the chairperson or the designee of the BOE spokesperson will be the contact with the media. So media request, interviews, questions will be directed by our Board of Ed chairman, and then if he directs one of us to speak with the media, that is how that will flow down. Superintendent and board chairman will work together to determine the board agenda. They will include any other board members who wants to participate and wants to present anything to the board, but that agenda will be set by the superintendent and the chairperson. In addition to that, all the other board members that are not sitting chair will have the ability to make and request changes to the agenda the Monday prior before the board meeting. Board members will contact superintendents before board meeting with requests for additional information on the agenda items. So that will allow us to make sure that we have all our questions ready to go at the board meeting, and whoever's providing that information to us within the district will have the opportunity to give us all the information that we need. So it will make our board meetings a lot speedier. Most important, this document is going to help us to stay focused and plow through, and I'll go in the right direction. I really want us to really think about the words that Chairman Wooten talked to us today about and yesterday, plow and thrive, and this document is going to enable us to do that. So it's also going to...
Sutton.
Do what?
Chairman Sutton.
Wooten, sorry, see, we're all doing it. Chairman Sutton, thank you. Again, it's going to encourage us to attend school activities, and represent our schools within the community. The BOE will review all high-stakes policies periodically and publicly. That's something we already do, as is. Our policy committee meets on a monthly basis. And then, of course, it lets us know, as we already do now, that in accordance to Board Policy 5510, that we will evaluate our superintendent on a yearly basis. We do and will review this document every 6 months. So the idea of this document is it should be a working document. So as we evolve as a board and as the board changes, we want to leave a legacy of teamwork for Johnston County Public Schools. We want to make you proud of us. And I'm trying not to be emotional, but we want you to be proud of your school system and of every person who comes in contact with Johnston County Public Schools. And I want to end on the note that this document is going to help us to stay focused on what's most important: our staff needs, our student needs, and the achievement of our school system with complete passion. And I just want to say that I'm so proud of the community members and the staff members who have stepped up this past week to spread the positive and remind every single one of us what our jobs are and what we should be doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zukowski. All board members, we had a chance to read this yesterday, and as you heard from my comments in the beginning and Mr. Johnston's comments, And I think it speaks volumes for our board wanting to move forward in something in this arena that we want to plow through whatever's in front of us. And we want to do it for Johnston County Public Schools. Everybody that goes to that school on a daily basis as a student, staff member, visitor, whatever it is, we are committed to making Johnston County Public Schools the best school in North Carolina. That is our commitment to you. At this time, we're going to take a small break before we get in. I'm sorry. Dr. Williams, will you recognize our student leaders?
Thank you, Ms. Board Chair. I'd love to. At this time, we'll recognize our student leaders who are with us today. First, we have Jagwinder Sandhu, who's a student at Smithfield Selma Senior High School and participates in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. Growing up, he always knew his parents were unable to receive high school education, and educational opportunities were severely limited in Punjab, which led to them to migrate to the United States in pursuit of a better life. He always kept this in constant reminder to not only take advantage of every opportunity available to him, but also to foster opportunities for those around him to hopefully further the trajectory they place in their lives. As he hopes to make a long-lasting impact on society, he aspires to pursue a degree in the social sciences along with a pre-medical track to go into medical school, while also creating a nonprofit organization with the mission of strengthening our communities. Smithfield Selma High School, Jagwinder Sandhu. Secondly, I'd like to recognize Brian Lopez Villanueva. He is the SGA president at Smithfield Selma High School. He's a dual-enrolled student at both Smithfield Selma High School and Johnston Community College. His other interests include swimming, track, working at his family's business. Brian plans to attend UNC Charlotte after graduation and to major in international business. Brian Lopez Villanueva, thank you both for being here.
Excuse me, sir. Yes, are you fine? Yes, sir.
At this time, we're going to take a 3 to 4 minute break, and we'll be back in for public comment.
Yep.
We'll call our meeting back to order. Tonight, we have 2 speakers signed up for public comment. Citizens who've signed up to address the board during public comment will be called upon as they signed up, and will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board suggests that specific personnel or student matters be addressed to the school principal, the Johnston County Public School System official responsible for the program or facility, or to the superintendent, and are not appropriate for this setting. The first speaker tonight is Ms. April Lee.
Good evening. Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Madam Vice Chair Smith, members of the board, and Dr. Williams. I have my whole thing written out here, but I'm just going to say that from the 3 board members that we've heard this evening, from Chairman Sutton, from Mr. Johnston, and from Mrs. Zakowski, a lot of what you have said mirrors exactly what I'm going to say. There are just a lot of the same currents that are happening, and I'm glad to hear it. I'm April Lee. I'm a parent, a taxpayer, a voter, and a teacher here in Johnston County Schools. I'm also the president of Johnston County Association of Educators. I love this county more than words can express. My family has been here for generations, farther than I've tracked back. I attended Forex and Benson Elementary Schools and graduated from South Johnston, and as a North Carolina teaching fellow, I chose to come home to teach. It has been heartbreaking to watch what has been happening among our school board. I do not remember there ever being a time when our board was so fractured and our district being the headline for so many negative things. I get emotional too. But the positives far outweigh the negatives here in Johnston County. We have classified staff, we have the best educators, we have the best support staff around. And those folks deserve so much more. I'm talking to you legislators. They provide for our kids every day a way to school, a hot meal, a smile, a hug, some paper, a pencil, a tissue, encouraging words. If you haven't seen the hashtag, just look up Share the Positive JOCO. It will bless you to see educators unifying to support our district. And that is what I encourage you all to do. Set your differences aside, work together, problem solve, come together for the sake of our employees and our kids. Our futures depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. April Lee. We appreciate those comments. Next, we have Mr. Josiah Edwards.
10 years ago, I moved down here from Roanoke, Virginia with my grandparents, and I started I started in 8th grade at Selma Middle, and it was also 10 years ago when y'all gave me the Award for Compassion. And this year also makes 50 years since Grandpa started Temple Baptist in Selma. And I'm coming before you today as an employee and as a parent. In a year from now, my daughter will be going to kindergarten. And so, but I'm not here to be negative. I'm not here to be condemning. I'm here to speak on compassion. I'm here to give that award back. And we've never seen this much darkness and this much hurt and pain going on in our school system. But I believe that we can have some resilience to bounce back from the challenges, even if it's the challenge that we cause for ourselves, even if it's our even if it's our own mistakes, I believe that through God that we can get through this together and that we can bounce back and to persevere, which means to endure during the challenges. And endure means to suffer patiently. So I just want to be encouraging. We can get through this. It doesn't matter what's happened. What matters is what's about to happen. And it's starting now. And I've been praying for all of y'all, and 10 years, it's been a long time. And a lot's happened in the last decade, but we finally made it to 2020. And before the school started, y'all handed out these things with Reignite. And I guess the slogan is a flame for learning. Though that flame may have dwindled out, though that flame may have burnt out, I believe we're going to reignite it. I believe we're going to see this revival that we've all been praying for, and it's happening now. And I believe in every single one of y'all. This isn't political, this is spiritual. And I believe that God's going to do something amazing, and it's already happening. I believe in you guys. We're going to bounce back through compassion. So, thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you right now. We thank you for what you've done for us already. We thank you for what you're going to do for us tomorrow. But Lord, as you can see, as we've had public speaking comments tonight, Lord, we just lift everything up to you. And as the motivation said on Sunday that I received, Lord, at 7 a.m. as I stepped out of bed, it said everything happens for a reason, Lord. And we know that. It's your timing, not ours. But Lord, we ask right now that you unify this board. You strengthen our school system. You take Satan out of our county. Lord, we ask that you keep our students safe, our parents, our teachers, and every employee that darkens the door at Johnston County Public Schools, Lord. We lift them up to you right now. But more importantly, Lord, we lift each of us up to you for us to do your work and not ours. In your loving name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Guys, as you can see, we're putting our best foot forward for Johnston County Public Schools. We appreciate each and every one of you. At this time, I want to hear some exciting news from the young ladies and men in the back of this room that went all the way across the pond. So, Innovation Academy, come tell us about the summit.
Thank you, Chairman, and our board for the opportunity to bring our reason, as you mentioned, before you so that they can talk to you about their experience. That in November, we had the opportunity to accompany them to the ICANN Global Summit, myself, Kelly Johnston, the principal at Innovation Academy at South Campus, as well as 4 additional adults. And all of us are changed as a result of that experience. 7 of them stand before you. There is an 8th who you'll learn more about, who was not able to join us this evening due to a recent medical procedure. But his story will be presented as well this evening. Out of the 8, I think it's important for you to know that for 6 of them, it was their very first time ever flying on an airplane, and went, as you said, across the pond. And so I will leave it now to them, and just thank you so much for the forum and for your support.
So my name is Serenity Whitaker. So in 2018, Hurricane Florence hit. We were asked this question: what is our responsibility as a school to address suffering in our community? So we collected over 4,000 items, and we dispersed them all over North Carolina to like shelters and stuff like that. We were in the process. We were introduced to Design for Change. We were selected 1 out of 15 schools to serve as a United States ambassador at Rome, Italy, at the ICANN Global Summit. This is important to us because not only that we're impacting our lives, but we're impacting people's lives in the community.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah Beth Williamson, and we definitely hit the fundraising aspect when it came to this trip. We took a lot of information that we gathered from the ICANN Global Summit that they gave us, and we tried to prepare as best as we could. We communicated with local leaders and businesses to prepare as best as we could, but we definitely experienced a lot more than we ever thought.
Hi, my name is Daisy Prowlis, and our school hosted a small celebration for us to celebrate all of our hard work into getting to Rome. So this small celebration consisted of a rundown of what actually brought us to Rome, an introduction to us as ambassadors, and some meaningful lessons that we have learned throughout the way. After that, we had a send-off from our peers and supporters from the community and had a special escort off of campus to the edge of town by the Smithfield Police.
Hello, my name is Ashley Jara, and the whole ICANN Global Summit, it was such an overwhelming experience for us. The first day we got there, all the students participating in the ICANN Global Summit were sent into the Building of Congress of Rome. And so we saw people from all different types of countries. We saw people in their cultural outfits. We heard people speaking all different types of languages, but aside of all that, the message we all share is I can. And that we all found a connection with at least one person, no matter the language barrier, no matter some differences we may have, because we're all just sharing the same message, I can.
So when we went to Italy, we had a perspective of what the cultural influences there and how it reflects in their art or in their architectural buildings.
So going back to what Daisy said, one of, I think, all of our favorite experiences with culture was definitely the food. We experienced a lot of different pizzas and pastas, and we definitely experienced the gelato.
Hello, my name is Claire Smith.
And I'm Elizabeth Sasser.
And so, while we were there, we got split off into 20 different groups around Rome. And our group consisted of about 50 people from Malaysia, Chile, and Israel. It was a really cool experience to see everybody like just talking and conversing together, because it kind of forced us out of our little bubble of friends that we tried to go and stay close to, because none of us really are super outgoing people, but we still are at the exact same time. And so it was really cool to see like how many people are exactly like us, but they're so different at the exact same time.
The small circles gave us a chance to see the other countries' cultures and meet them and talk to them. Even if there was a language barrier, most of them spoke English, and we got to communicate really well with them. As I said, we got to see their culture, and we heard some of the words that they use there in their language.
What was also really cool is at the end of our time there, before we all went to meet the Pope, we all had this ultimate singing battle of all the countries' like favorite songs. It was just cool to see like the different dances and stuff that they had for their own songs, and how we actually knew songs from their place that we didn't know was actually from their country. One of also another really cool things is while we were there, people would go and give gifts to us as a welcoming present. And one of the gifts was a Malaysian scarf given to us by all the kids from Malaysia. As you can see Daisy wearing one right now. Almost all of us actually got one of these, and it was just cool to see. Like, there was this little girl who gave me one. She didn't speak our language at all, but she was still the sweetest thing I ever met.
So we do understand that we have more slides to this presentation, but we feel like this is an important time to advocate for Alex, who cannot be here. So Ms. Ham is going to start us off with that.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ham, and I serve as a lead learner at Innovation Academy. And as we journeyed to Rome, like the kids have said, we've really learned a lot. We really experienced a lot. But something that really drove home for us was an experience from one of our kids, and his name is Alex Wolf. Alex is unable to be with us today, and Miss Stilley's going to share a little bit of information. But as we were in the small groups with Malaysia and with Chile and with Israel, the kids had an opportunity to share the work that they did based on the understanding that they can make a difference, that they can change the world. And so there was a particular group, there was 2 young girls, they were in the 6th grade from Israel, and they began sharing their story. And their teacher, their lead learner, her name was Moran. Moran had a friend who was visually impaired. And so her project with her kids was for her students to allow menus from different restaurants within the area to be accessible to them. So they created an app with audio so that the students could then listen to, or not the students, the individuals could then listen and have access to restaurants to really represent that equity. And so in that conversation, Alex had something very special to say, and what we were trying to do was load the moment for you. We got it captured on video, but I think that the words and the voices of the kids is going to be just as impactful.
I'm Chelsea Stilley. I am a 6th grade teacher at Innovation Academy. I've had the privilege of teaching all of our students, and Alex started with me and my advisory, so our first year together. And I've watched Alex grow academically, socially, emotionally, through hardships of his health, even though no one would have ever known. So when on one of the first days when Israel was presenting their projects, and they shared the app that they were creating, Alex, at the end, the video that is not linked, it didn't link properly, but the video actually was able to capture the moment of Alex standing up and just telling that group that he really appreciates their project, their thought behind it, the reason behind it, and it inspired him because he too was going through medical issues that were damaging his eyesight. He had planned on coming today, like Ms. Johnston had said. He just finished his surgery was last Tuesday, so he tried to come but couldn't make it. But yeah, but anyways, the video captured him just giving his appreciation for their thought behind it. And even though they may have not realized how one little moment could change someone's life. So we hope to continue with the change that we're making and connections we're making globally.
And then just to add to that and bringing it back, and I know Sarah Beth has more she wants to say, that to build on Chelsea's comment, we don't ever know what one decision, what one action, what one choice will mean to another human being. And that's what was captured by Alex when he had the courage to stand up in front of 50 people he did not know other than his 7 classmates and us, and mentioned that he was losing his sight. And that's why their project meant so much to him personally, and it's allowed an establishment of a relationship between our school and their school in Israel, and our work with them continues. So we get in video conferences with them from time to time since the summit. And so, there's the video. Okay, thank you, Michelle.
The menu, because I've been losing my vision lately, and it's
thank you, Alexander, for sharing this moment. Thank you.
So a moment. The teacher on the left is the teacher of from the school in Israel, and then the lady on the right is the facilitator in the room from India. So they offered Alex hugs in addition to Sarah Beth, and so we thought it was important to present that moment and to give these kids an opportunity to talk now about all of the experiences, including that one that they left Rome with that make them different now or before we went.
So, one lesson that I learned is no matter how different you are, no matter where you come from, no matter your age, you always have something in common with somebody. And this ties back to Alex because at first I had no idea what was going on. Me and Alex have classes together, but he had never shown any signs that anything was wrong. And then I had the opportunity to sit beside him when this moment happened, and that's when it really hit me, like somebody in my own class is suffering and I had no idea. So that also ties back to the service project where we went back and we helped those in our community who were suffering.
So one lesson that I learned from this whole entire experience is, like Sarah Beth said, like no matter where you come from, like no matter your cultural experiences, like we can all make a difference. We're all here for the same thing, and that's just really important to keep in mind.
One lesson that I learned is to be thankful for what I have.
A lesson that I learned was to be, just like Serenity said, grateful for, this opportunity that we've been given. It's a one-in-a-lifetime experience, and be thankful for all the support that we've been given.
One lesson that I learned is the fact of even though we do our best to go and address all the suffering we can, there's always something that we can always keep on doing.
So, my name is John Hall. Haven't been up here yet, but one of the lessons that I learned from this entire experience going to Rome is that it doesn't matter your age or where you're from, but no matter what, you can make a change, because there were some people in there who had better ideas and more constructive ideas to help progress in our future than some people who are much older than them now, whose ideas only bring us down.
One lesson that I learned or brought back was that we should always be grateful for what we have, and no matter where we live or what we look like, we are the same people, and we're not all different.
Sorry for that. But so something we're bringing back is the culture. Life over here and life over there might be a little different, and so I think that's what really it opened our eyes to see. We should be thankful for what we have, and just be thankful. But so the final part of the ICANN Global Summit was where the Pope Francis, came in and addressed us. And basically, I just wanted to say that it was an honoring experience to be in his presence. It's a moment I will never forget. And it was just it was a very important moment because it showed that he recognized all the hard work that we've been going through. And, you know, just to empower other kids to do the same.
So while we were there in the presence of Pope Francis, he said a few words to us, and one of the quotes that we have is when he said, "Dear boys and girls, I see in you a courageous trust. Yes, the trust and courage of a project for environmental and social improvement that is becoming real, a project that can leave a mark. You made the right choice. You looked away from the screen of your mobile phone and rolled up your sleeves to serve the community. And you also put down your mobile phones at the service of this commitment. Creativity and imagination have made your initiatives even more interesting. You have shown that artificial intelligence alone cannot provide the human warmth we all need."
What an honor. Oh, I'm sorry.
In the 7th grade classrooms, Moran, we are working with our fourth grade class on something called Project 2030, which we have been doing over the past year. And it is a really cool experience because we are building up our businesses based off of the 17 global goals of just fighting inequalities, fighting climate change, and zero hunger at all. And it was just amazing experience because right now we are talking to Moran and the rest of our students, conversing, and seeing how we can ourselves make a better change in the world.
So we're creating a small business, and we have small groups. Most groups are coming up with an idea to make good, resourceful bracelets, and then some other groups wanted to go a little bit further than bracelets, and they wanted to make other stuff, like Clara wants to make pottery, and we're gonna propose the ideas that we have, and we're gonna do a PBL, and people are gonna vote on which bracelet or other thing they think is gonna be the best, and then we're gonna send it to Israel to the class, and they're gonna vote, and then we're gonna get their ideas, and we're gonna vote on their ideas.
And this is just an amazing experience that we have been having, and we just wanted to share it with you guys, and we will go and try and work harder on this and actually reach out to the community with what we're doing.
And then just some big takeaways, and then a quote that we want to leave you with. The human experience is far more similar than it is different. These children experienced that as we did in Rome with children from and adults from 45 other countries throughout the world. The question about addressing suffering in our community, grappling with what suffering looks like, what does it mean to address it? What is our community? These are all things that we continue to revisit as part of our larger work toward Project 2020 and utilizing the UN's 17 sustainability goals. And then this quote that we'll leave you with in closing. How strong is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole world? Thank you again for this forum. We appreciate your time and your support of our work at Innovation Academy at South Campus.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just make one quick comment. You all have done a phenomenal job, and the thing, I went to your send-off. The thing that was so precious to me was that you all represented your school, and they were so proud of you. The clap out was like nothing I've ever seen before. and the procession was just extraordinary, and you knew when you left that something special was going to happen. And I just am so proud to know that it happened in Johnston County. So good job. Thank you.
I would just like to say I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, the second time. We're going to get our work out tonight, but I just want to say thank you to the county commissioners as well. We were at the meeting, former Chairman Wooten and myself were there the night that they voted to assist you all as well in the void that you all needed to go to Rome and experience this. And I hope that you all go over there and give them the same presentation that you gave us, because I'm going to tell you what, this is why we do what we do. And it's not just a reason, just out of coincidence you guys came tonight about that quote that you just read, Ms. Johnson. It was meant to be for unity, and we can illuminate the whole world. But we're going to start with Johnston County Public Schools. So thank y'all again, and y'all come around here. We want to shake your hand.
And I just want to see, wait a minute, I just want to say one thing, just one thing. Thank you for being the change versus waiting for the change, because that's a big difference.
I want to say one thing too, Mr. Sutton. No, one thing. I just want to say I am honored to be in the presence of each of you. Thank you. So proud of you.
Continue to work.
So proud of each of you.
The job's not over.
That is just beautiful. So proud of you. Great job.
Glad you had a
Great
time.
presentation. Thank y'all so much. Y'all keep it up. Good work.
Proud of you.
Good work. Thank you so much.
Good work.
Y'all doing such an awesome job. Y'all doing such an awesome job.
Thank you. We had an emergency.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thanks for all you do. I appreciate it.
Continue to be so proud of you. Thank you for what you do. Oregon, that's right.
At this time, I will call on Dr. David Pierce.
Whoever makes the agenda, make it noted, I do not want to follow presentations like that again. Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Lady Vice Chair, Dr. Smith, Dr. Williams, and members of the board. I have 2 items for approval and 2 items for information today. We're going to start with Exhibit 8A6, Policy Code 3400 Homework. Policy 3460 was last amended on May 14, 2002. The policy was amended to set time guidelines for 6th through 12th grades not to exceed 2 hours, and a section was added describing homework responsibilities. No additional revisions have been made since being presented to you all in December for information. So at this time, it is the recommendation of the Policy Review Committee to amend Policy 3460 and is presented for approval.
I entertain a motion for Policy Code 3460, homework.
So moved.
Got a motion by Ms. Tracy Zukowski, second by Mr. Ronald Johnson. Any discussion?
And I'd just like to say that several months ago, there was a training at the School Boards Association that had an entire presentation on homework, and we did our best to follow the recommendations of research. And for what it's worth, homework is worth something.
Any other discussion or comments? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.
Next, we have Board Exhibit 8A7, Policy Code 7400, Contract Administration. Policy 7400 was last amended on December 11, 2018. This policy sets the expectations for district level and school level expenditures and contracts. Expenditures exceeding $3,500 and below $90,000 require documented informal bids at the school level. Any violations of this policy or the accompanying regulation 7400R may be subject to disciplinary actions up to and including dismissal from employment. No revisions have been made since being presented for information at our December board meeting. So it is the recommendation of the Policy Review Committee to amend Policy 7400 and is presented for approval.
I'll entertain a motion for policy 7400, contract administration. Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.
Next is Board Exhibit 8A8, which is our Public Records 2200. Policy 2200 was last amended on December 11th, 2001. This policy was revised to update the general record schedule of local government agencies, define a public record, and outline the duties of the records officer. And just for information for the board, so we receive from the School Board Association updates that they recommend with sample policies. And this was one of the updates based on the new schedule for records retention that comes out in January. And so during that process, we noticed that the policy had not been updated since 2001, and so we aligned it with the School Board Association sample policy moving forward. And so it is the recommendation of the Policy Review Committee to amend Policy 2200, and it is presented for information. All right. Board Exhibit 8A9, which is Policy Code 5145, Drug and Alcohol Testing of Commercial Motor Vehicle Operators. This policy was last amended on June 11, 2013. The policy was revised to update the clearinghouse reporting requirements by federal law. This policy states school officials shall conduct a limited query of the clearinghouse at least once per year for each employee subject to this policy, pursuant to the employee's written or electronic consent, to determine whether information exists about the employees regarding violations. The word volunteer was deleted from the policy, as Johnston County Public Schools only uses drivers employed by the school system. It is the recommendation of the Policy Review Committee to amend Policy 5145, and it is currently being presented for information.
However, Mr. Chairman, may I have just a moment? We are recommending that this be approved tonight as exigent circumstances because it went into effect by law in January. So we are asking that instead of information, this be approved as amended.
Okay, so Dr. Smith, is that a motion on your behalf?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll entertain a second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Sessoms. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.
Awesome. I get to stay up here, and I'm out of policy review mode, so it is my privilege, though, to request the following naming of school facilities as outlined in Board Policy 2810. With me tonight, we have Athletic Director Jamie Lee and Principal Ms. Jenna Saws-Hare from the Cleveland, and we also, for my next policy I'm going to read, we have Interim Principal and a legend from Johnston County Schools, Mr. Kurt Denning, sitting back here. So I want to start off first with Board Exhibit 8A10, the naming of Cleveland High School Football Stadium. The naming of the stadium presented by Principal Jenna Saws. She has presented letters of support from the Cleveland High School Booster Club, Parent Advisory Council, and herself on the naming of the Cleveland High School Football Stadium in the name of John Jacob Stadium. John grew up in the Cleveland community and was a four-sport athlete at Smithfield-Selma High School. John has received numerous awards and accolades, but his legacy will always be known for the impact that he has made in the lives of students, both on and off the field of competition. We ask that the Board of Education take this request under advisement for 60 days, at which time the matter will be brought back before the board for a vote. And then our second naming of the Riverwood Middle Gym, Interim Principal Kurt Denning has presented a letter of support from the Riverwood Middle Booster Club, the Parent Advisory Council, and himself, requesting the name of the gym at Riverwood Middle School to Phil Lee Gymnasium. Mr. Lee served as principal of Riverwood School from 2005 to 2014. He was also an active member of the Riverwood community. Mr. Lee regularly could be found at Riverwood Middle School athletic events and Riverwood community activities. However, it was during basketball season, if you knew Mr. Lee, that he found his greatest joy in watching young people play basketball. So we ask at this time that the Board of Education take this request under advisement for 60 days, and at which time we will be brought back to the board for a vote.
Thank you, Dr. David Pierce. At this time, there's no reports from the Deputy Superintendent. I'll call on Ms. Dolores Gill, Chief of Staff and Communication.
Good evening again, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Dr. Peggy Smith, members of the board, and Dr. Williams. It is a pleasure to be with you once again, and I have two items. The first of which is Board Exhibit 8C1, the North Johnston High School Gym HVAC improvements. This is the first project for North Johnston High School from the 2018 bond referendum. In 2007, the current competition gym was added as an alternate on a classroom and locker room addition project. The HVAC system for the gym was tied into the existing four-pipe water system that serves the entire campus, and there is an inadequate capacity in that current system to maintain the temperature consistently on a day-to-day basis, and is unable to adequately condition the air during our heavily attended events at the school, one of which is graduation. This project will add a separate split air conditioning system which will provide the needed additional capacity for the gym. And the plans were prepared by Engineering Source of North Carolina and Height Associates. Bids were received on December the 12th, and the bid tabulation is attached. You will see we're recommending awarding the project to Southern Piping Company of Wilson, North Carolina, for a total contract price of $274,726. $83,469.50 is paid from the generated sales tax from our $30 million LGC bond, because in that application we had North Johnston High, who was a part of a upgrade that we did there with their pipe insulation. So what you're able to do is use the remaining generated sales tax money on any school that was in that particular set of projects. So that will decrease our costs there, and we're very happy about that. So the remaining balance of $191,256.49 will be from our 2018 bond funds. What I would like to remind our stakeholders out in the community and all of us is that, remember, our bond funds was voted on as a part of a $74 million bond package, $61 million which coming from to our school system. Remember, those projects were identified and promoted for the vote, and then remembering that those have to be for those capital funding. So several of our budget categories do come in several buckets, and this is one of those buckets where there cannot be any crossover, and you have to spend those identified funds exactly as they were promoted to the public for those capital needs. So we would like to bring you that first project for North Johnston High School for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. I'll entertain a motion for North Johnston High School HVAC improvement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Tracy Zukowski. Any questions or comments? I would like to make a comment. I have experienced the enormous heat in a couple of graduations, as well as the man to my right, Dr. Williams, as others in the community out here in the chairs. But more importantly, Mr. Toll Avery met with me earlier this year at a football game, and he was more concerned about the safety of our students based upon with asthmatic issues and other items that they have with PE and everything. So I am very excited that this one is moving forward. As I sit in basketball games and get comments all the time, what is going on with the air in this gym? But I just have one question, Ms. Gill. Is it going to be done by graduation?
Mr. Moore?
Thank you.
I always
He was
thought,
going to be asked that question, so he was prepared for that.
I always thought that y'all just turned the heat up when you played Princeton. I didn't know that.
Any more questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Chairman. The second item that I have is Board Exhibit 8C2, sewer service options for our upcoming new elementary school. The Operations Department has identified a parcel of property on Lynch Road in the Thanksgiving community for the proposed elementary school, also under the 2018 bond referendum. The property is situated suitably to relieve overcrowding and forecasted growth for elementary schools in the surrounding area. As a reminder as well, we rely upon North Carolina State's ORAD laboratory over the past 20 years to do our membership forecasting. What this does is help us to use data points to ascertain where we need to put needed schools in the area. We then begin to look at all of the available parcels of property in order to identify one that will suit our needs. However, the location is not currently covered under the county sewer service. We have had some ongoing meetings, and discussions with several groups to explore the feasibility and cost associated with providing two separate options, both on-site and off-site sewer to the location. What we'd like to detail for you this evening is information about what are the pros and cons of both an on-site system, if you so chose, or an off-site system. An on-site system, which you have in your board packet, and we're going to bring up some special guests in a moment to take you through that, would require an additional 10 acres to be purchased to make a drainage field and permitting and ongoing maintenance cost as detailed in what's labeled A in your board packet. The system would only have capacity for this particular elementary school. An off-site system, which would run a 4-inch force main along Highway 42 through an active DOT project that's currently up and down 42 when you go past Harris Teeter, would actually tie in with the county station at the Tuscany subdivision, and we'll detail this for you in a moment. This option will have additional capacity for future schools, up to 2 to 3 additional schools to tie into this line once this work is done. This decision will assist us in finalizing the necessary agreements with the county and the DOT, because the county does have an existing contract with North Carolina DOT to do work on their systems, and the scope of work and budgets needed for the sewer planning. In turn, this particular information we provide you will help guide our work as we work again with the county commissioners, DOT, and our engineers and architects to purchase the property on Lynch Road, which we have an option to purchase on currently, which is owned by the Earp family. At this time, what I'd like to do is to recognize Mr. Brooks Moore, who is our construction officer. He is here with us, and he is a familiar face for you. And somewhere in the back, I have got, you guys going to come up in a minute, right? I have Mr. Jimmy Height from Height Associates, who does all of our design and planning for our school sites. We do have the design work well underway for the new elementary school. And then we also have Mr. Steve Janowski, and he does so much work with Mr. Height as far as the engineering and looking at these pieces. What we have been doing is having collaborative meetings with our folks here that you see, with the folks in the county who work with our county sewer system, and as well as all of the engineers from the DOT. And looking at all the options that we can have to explore. We are at the point now where our growth has taken us to where we are in an area where we do not have the type of sewer service that we will need. So we will need to explore this evening a couple of options, learn about what those couple of options are, and at the end of the presentation, we will tell you that we recommend from an operations standpoint, that we feel the best prudent decision is to continue the conversations about off-site with the folks at DOT and with our county commissioners. I'd like to call these folks up who can talk to you a little bit more about what this entails so that you're able to hear this information, and our folks who might be watching live stream. So come on up. And they're not normally this quiet when they're meeting with me in the conference room at facilities.
Thank you, Ms. Gill, Dr. Williams, and members of the board. I'm not an engineer, but this is an engineer. And Steve Janowski's been working with us here for a long time, over 20 years. And I'd like for Steve to go through and point out on the map the two options, which are both shown here, and explain a little bit about what they are and the pros and cons of each.
Very good. Again, Steve Janowski with Rivers and Associates, just a good friend of Jimmy's for many, many years. To the far right, you see that's the school location. What we have is this particular piece of property is oriented such that it has some access to Highway 42, just enough to get easement and to get sewer through there without purchasing any other properties. So one of the alternatives are is that where is sewer available, so it's in Tuscany subdivision. It's really off this, it's a Mill Creek runs back through here. There's a pump station. There's already a sewer outfall alignment there that we can, it's wide enough, talk with Johnston County Public Utilities, that we can parallel in that, so we don't have to purchase any additional easement there. So the yellow represents one entity or that would be constructed. And the red is about 12,000 feet, which is under construction right now by NCDOT. They have a contractor, they're doing the utility work right now, and they have agreements in place. And basically what we do is, for that piece to get constructed, we negotiate with NCDOT, who basically negotiates with the contractor who's under contract. They won't bid it out. And then, so we don't know what those numbers are right now, but we have some budget estimates in their annual report. So that's 12,000 feet. There's 5,000 feet in the yellow, of which this yellow represents some preliminary information that we received from NCDOT that we can go in there right away. There's places that we can put that there, and then this portion would be on the property where we get some easement from the heirs here for this particular big portion. The alternative to that is the soils seem to be suitable enough. We start doing some preliminary soil analysis, but we haven't gone in depth to pick out all the pieces. There's a lot of cut over to be done, and that's what we're before you today. Is if this is an alternative, then we need to release those folks so we can get some design data and just know if that 10 acres would be adequate. Typically, what that is you have the same pump station that you have on site that you would do for this force main. You basically have some pre-treatment that's available to kind of get all those sediments out, so that when you go to this particular system, you're not doing anything that could clog it up. So usually we do a sand filter of some nature. And so you have this recirculating sand filter. It's pumping up to this particular area. 5 acres is for the discharge of wastewater. And that 5 acres has 4 to 6 to 8 different pods. And we have a timing system where we're rotating, and just throughout the day, we'll probably maybe have some equalization on that so that we can hold back some water and pump when we want to. When we look at them though, it's our recommendation, I've talked with everybody, that I believe that the best alternative is force main. With the force main, you have opportunity to add additional facilities to that, which I think is a very big plus. Every time you do a facility of this size, you've got another 10 acres you've got to come up with somewhere. It's very limited in its scope. And the biggest, if you're noticing there, we've kind of brought it to just an annual cost. But that annual cost is significant. Hiring an employee to operate that, make sure they're on there taking care of all those pieces. There's certain things that have to be done that are scheduled that we put into that cost estimate. And basically, if you were looking, comparing current values, this far outweighs the long-term value of using the off-site facility. And the only other piece that I wanted to mention was that this red will be designed by the group that's under contract. That will be incorporated into an overall permitting package, of which Rivers and Associates and Hyde Associates will put one permit together, do one set of punch outs, and so we're not trying to coordinate that part through another entity.
Mr. Janowski, could you elaborate just a little bit about the small window of time we have here because they're doing work in this area and why we need to be making some actionable steps toward making some decisions?
That basically they're moving forward with all their utility work. They've got some things that are trying to get that 24-inch line in right now. And they're trying to gear this thing up to wrap this project up this year. So this becomes another piece that they feel confident that they get done and get scheduled into that portion. But we've got to get it set up so that we can go ahead and get our stuff designed to it, get it permitted. So we've got to release DOT to do the work. DOT releases their engineer to do the work. The engineer gets that drawn back to me. I compile that, get the permit together, get that to the state. It's now a 6-week program just to even get a permit with the state of North Carolina. So you can see that we're probably talking about 90, 120 days that we're going to try to compress even more with the work of the DOT. And I think that they are amenable to that.
And the work itself will take how long?
The force main is really not very much. I mean, it's a 4-inch force main. I should have said that earlier, which is very flexible. I would guess between 60 and 90 days would be a contract for that force main.
So if we have another school that ties onto that sewer, we're not charged for that? Is there a charge for?
Well, you always have a meter charge.
Well, I know there's a commodity charge for using it,
That's the only
but
charge.
for us to tap onto it, there's no charge for us to do that.
Correct.
Just because I want to understand lingo, what you're proposing on the on-site is like a septic system?
That's what it's called, an on-site wastewater system. And until we get that final report back, we don't know what form it looks like. But the soils appear to be adequate so that it could be, at least the drain fields would be more of a standard system. And typically around here, the homes that pump into a hill, it'll look like that, have a pressure manifold that runs out there. So it'd just be a much larger system.
Okay, just because I'm a simple girl and I'm all about education and I don't really, what I want to see, what I want to hear are the pros and cons for off-site and the pros and cons for on-site. And if you could delineate that, that would be awesome.
There's one pro for on-site,
Okay.
and that's if you can't do off-site.
Okay.
And so that, you typically don't want to be in that business. And anybody who's been in that business for many, many years, they're doing everything they can to get out of that business. And so we've been doing different projects over the years that have added off-site systems to get people away from their on-site systems. But you can do that.
So then I get, what I'm trying to understand is if it's off-site, the additional expenses per year for operations is a whole lot more
It is.
than off-site, than on-site.
We're trying to put the, as you can see, my language sometimes doesn't narrow down real simple. But if you had to put money in the bank today so that you could pay for those facilities every year, say for 25 years, is typically when you start redoing things. There's a significant amount of money you'd have to put in the bank today compared to this alternative, which would be very little money you'd have to put in the bank today to pay for its annual expenses. And if you add those $2 up, construction, plus what you had to put in the bank to pay for the next 25 years based on, say, 2% rate of return, it's significantly more expensive to do this option than it is this option.
That's exactly what I needed.
I was
Thank
getting
you.
there. I was trying my hardest.
I think also the point is well taken. The second school you add to it divides the cost in half, which automatically makes it less than the on-site solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would say that we would like to continue to explore this conversation. We're getting down to a point where we need to make some final decisions. Certainly, our commissioners and is a part of that. They have been communicating with their board. We have been invited to go and speak with them to make this similar presentation, just to make sure that their folks are comfortable as well. And what I will say that this, we have looked at all of our bond projects to ensure that the cost for this system will be able to be funded through our bond projects as a capital expenditure. And one of the things I will end with is that thank you to Mr. Moore, who again has provided you in your packet the bond expenses as the projects flow. You're able to see this as well. And so we are having ongoing conversations with Mr. Height and his team and with Brooks to, as these projects unroll or as the time goes on, as bonds are sold, we look closer and closer at the conditions. We look closer and closer at the scopes of all of our projects to be sure we're getting, if we've overdone a particular budget or if there's one we feel like is pricing out higher than we feel it will need to be, we're having those kinds of conversations so that we can stay true to delivering those capital projects that we promised that we would. So I would like to just, this is not really a formal approval, but approval for me to continue with this conversation so that we can meet our design timelines, so that we can continue conversations with Mr. Moore and all of our team. And we need to do this in order to finalize the land purchase, because this helps our folks who have an option to purchase out there, our landowners, to know that we are serious, that we want to build on the site.
So I'd entertain a motion to move forward with talks with our county commissioners as well for this presentation.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Grant made a motion, second by Dr. Smith. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Thanks for the information.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Good job.
And I would like to again thank all of our special guests who came here this evening and Mr. Moore, who they really are those folks who are working so diligently for you to make sure that we get the very best thing we possibly can. Thank you so much.
All right, so all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Vetrano.
Good evening again. As you recall, last month, this is above and beyond the Finance Committee. We began sharing with the entire board updates on where we stand financially. Last month, we shared with you local current expense and capital outlay. And in your packets this evening, we have added, I need to give credit to Mr. Stanley, our finance officer, and the team that he works with each and every day. They have added to the packets this month an update where we stand on the state and federal budgets that we receive. And I think the format is very similar to what you received last month. You have under each area, local, federal, state, and capital outlay, you have the descriptions, and you see the expenses thus far, any encumbered amounts, and then the remaining balance out to the right. And Mr. Stanley is here this month if you have any questions, or Mr. Stanley, if you want to add to the information that I've already shared.
Mr. Stanley, can I ask you a question? On behalf of the Finance Committee, could you start sending the Finance Committee a source and use of cash every month, overall picture of the funds that we receive every month and what goes out every month, that we can start seeing the flow of cash. And
Just
we,
for capital outlay and local current expense.
yes, sir.
Okay.
That way we can stay abreast and know what's being funded and what's been going out.
I just have a question, maybe a Ms. Gill question rather than a Mr. Stanley question. Security vestibule still has a significant balance. How many do we still lack having those installed, do you know?
Thank you. I've been wanting to all night. So those, it's not like 5 are done. They're all in process. All the walls are up, the glass is in, the film is on. Recently, we just put up the new office doors. I think there's 16 schools that got new office doors cut into the main office, so that when people come past that first point of access control, they're inside that secure area, and the office admin has to see the full visual of the person, make sure they're safe, and then she then buzzes them into the office. And 16 of our sites didn't allow that, so we had to cut walls and put doors in. But so long story short, that's a 11-month project, and we have probably 2 months left. The technology piece is the main piece that's left, all the buzzers and the wiring and all of that behind the scenes stuff. So couple months and it should be done. Actually, we have, I think 8 of them are actually complete in the Benson area. So.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No, I just want to thank all of you for bringing these expenses before us when we ask and for continuing to do that. Knowledge is a great thing, so I appreciate your time and the energy you put through to put this information together for us.
Thank you, Mr. Vetrano. At this time, there's no other reports from Chief of Equity and Information Student Services. Our next board meeting will be February 11th. Closed session starting at 4 p.m., open session at 5. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Zukowski, Mr. Johnston second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.